Today, we're talking about a supplement that you've probably heard of, but maybe not in the way we're going to talk about it today. It's breaking out of the gym, and it's making its way into the bigger conversation about healthy aging. So, you think you know creatine. Let's take a closer look at its incredible reinvention. You know, for decades, this was the image, right? A gym bag staple for guys trying to get huge. But what if I told you that the most exciting, cutting-edge research on creatine today has almost nothing to do with building bigger biceps, and everything to do with building a healthier brain and maybe even a longer, stronger life? Okay, let's just clear the air on the biggest myth right off the bat. Creatine is not a steroid. Not even close. It's a totally natural compound that your own body makes every single day. It's a fundamental part of how your cells recycle energy, not just in your muscles, but, and this is key, in your brain too.
So how did we get here? How did this supplement go from being something only elite athletes use to something you can find on pretty much any kitchen counter? Well, it's a pretty fascinating story of science, some really smart marketing, and a huge cultural shift in how we all think about health.
Check this out. It all started kind of quietly back in '92 at the Barcelona Olympics. A year later, it was available for people to buy. But the real game changer? That was in 1999. Bill Phillips' book, Body for Life, absolutely exploded, and it took creatine right along with it, from this niche product to a $200 million industry in just a few years. So that's the backstory. But let's get into how it actually works. The science behind creatine is surprisingly simple, really elegant, and it all comes down to one thing: recycling energy. Okay, so here's the one sciencey thing you need to know. Every single thing your body does, lifting a weight, thinking a thought, even just breathing, it's all powered by a molecule called ATP. The easiest way to think of it is as a fully charged molecular battery that runs all your cells. And this is where the magic happens. When your cell uses that ATP battery, it turns into a depleted battery called ADP. Think of creatine as a portable power bank. It just swoops in, donates a phosphate molecule, and bam, it instantly recharges that depleted ADP right back into a full power ATP. And this super fast recharge system, it works for your muscles and your brain. Now, that whole energy recycling thing is exactly why creatine became famous for building muscle. But where the story gets really interesting for a lot more of us is its role in aging. Let's talk about a word you're going to hear a lot more about: sarcopenia. It's just the fancy term for the natural, age-related muscle loss that starts for most of us around age 40. And if you don't do anything about it, it's not just about getting weaker. It can lead to being frail, a much higher risk of falls, and losing your independence. This is where creatine's story becomes relevant for just about everybody.
But, and this is a really big but, creatine is not a magic pill. You can't just take it and expect to maintain muscle. It works by giving your muscles more of that quick energy to do the hard work. You still have to do the work. The benefits only really show up when you pair it with resistance training.
So, muscle health is just the beginning. The most exciting chapter in creatine's whole comeback story is happening right now, and it's all about what it can do for the brain. This right here is the new frontier. I mean, think about it. Your brain is an energy hog. It uses about 20% of your body's total power. So that same ATP recharging system that helps your muscles also helps your brain cells perform better, especially when they're stressed out from things like sleep deprivation or just intense mental focus. Research is still coming in, but scientists are already seeing some really promising links to better memory, mood, and even heart health.
All right, so maybe you're thinking, okay, this makes sense. I'm interested. But how much should you actually take? And the big question, is it safe? Let's get practical.
So there are a few common ways to do it. That standard 3 to 5 grams a day is kind of the go-to for just long-term maintenance. Then there's the loading phase, where you take more for a week to saturate your muscles faster. And now, you're seeing these higher megadoses being explored specifically for those cognitive benefits we just talked about. But it's not really a one-size-fits-all thing. Experts like the neuroscientist Andrew Huberman, for example, he suggests a weight-based approach. His thinking is simple. A bigger person just needs more to get the same effect in their tissues. For him, a dose around 10 grams often makes more sense.
And then you have another perspective from neurophysiologist Dr. Louisa Nicola. She argues that if you really want to see those maximum cognitive benefits, you might need even higher daily doses. So what does all this tell you? It shows the best dose for you really depends on what your goal is. Are you trying to maintain muscle, or are you trying to give your brain a little extra juice?
Okay, let's tackle the elephant in the room. For years, the big scare tactic around creatine has always been about your kidneys. Is there any truth to it at all?
So listen up, because this is probably the single most important thing to understand about creatine and your health. It can make your lab results look a little scary, but for a healthy person, it's not what it looks like. Let me break down why.
Here's the deal. Your body breaks down creatine into a waste product, and that waste product is called creatinine. Doctors measure your creatinine levels to check how well your kidneys are filtering your blood. So, if you're taking extra creatine, you are naturally going to make more creatinine. It's just simple math. Your lab test might show a high number, but for a healthy person, it doesn't mean your kidneys are damaged. It's just a totally predictable, harmless result of taking the supplement.
So here's a super simple safety checklist. Number 1, always tell your doctor you're taking creatine before you get any blood work done so they can interpret the results correctly. 2, if you already have kidney issues, talk to your doctor first. Period. 3, drink plenty of water. And 4, pick a good brand, one that's been tested by a third party.
Okay, we have covered the history, the science, the benefits for muscle and brain, and the safety stuff. So let's just bring it all home. What's the final verdict on creatine today? So what's the bottom line? Well, for most healthy people, creatine is one of the safest, most effective, and most studied supplements on the planet. It's a proven tool for holding on to your strength as you get older, as long as you're also exercising. The research on the brain is incredibly promising, even if it is still early. And the most important thing, just keep your doctor in the loop.
And that question really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? A supplement that was once all about the gym is now a serious tool being considered for longevity and health span. It really makes you wonder, what other simple, effective tools are just sitting out there, waiting for their own reinvention? Thanks for tuning in.